Hey guys, welcome back to This Texas Garden. Misty here. We're going to show you today how to fill up large pots for outside and how to fill up your raised beds and save a little bit of money at the same time. So to start off, we're going to start with about 1 or 2 to maybe 3 inches depending on your raised bed or pot. This one's rather large, so maybe we'll go about 3 inches on this one of some all-purpose sand. And what that's going to do is it's going to help create drainage. As you can see that this large pot only has one hole for drainage at the bottom. And we don't want a bunch of stagnant water here at the bottom of the pot because that can rot our roots, suffocate them, and kill the whole plant off. And we really don't want that with all the work we're going to be putting into it. So when we start off with all-purpose sand, it allows for drainage, but it also helps to keep in a little bit of the nutrients that we do put into the plant, such as the compost that we're going to be using. All of this here that you see, it's going to help keep in just a little bit of those nutrients so that we can really feed our plant in the long run going. So we're going to start off with all-purpose sand, and we got this from Lowe's for about $6. You can get it from Lowe's, Home Depot. You can even look in places like Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, your friends and neighbors, okay? We got this one off of Facebook Marketplace for a good $20, and that's the best price you're ever going to get anywhere for a big old pot like this. So we're going to start off with our sand. So now we've got about 2 inches of sand in our pot. You can see our little helper Moa instigating over here. Our next layer is going to be twigs. This can be anything that's come off of your trees a little bit. Sometimes your neighbors chop down trees. You can always go to your neighbors and be like, hey, can I use a little bit of that wood? Makes it a little bit easier on the guys that come out and get rid of that. And it helps clean up your yard a little bit because we do know that up here in these trees, sometimes they drop branches and vines that we don't need up there anyway. They're great to fill up your pots at the bottom. So we're going to take a couple of these, and we really broke these down so they're great little handfuls and they're easier to compost at the bottom of our pot. So we're just going to fill this up. And that's going to create some volume in our pot so we don't have to use so much of our resources to fill up these holes. You do this in your garden beds, it really saves you a pretty penny on your potting soil because we all know potting soil ain't cheap. This will be the last of the sticks here. We're just going to give them a good shove around so we can make sure we get a good coverage all over the bottom of our pot. Just rearrange them a little bit. It doesn't need to be perfect, just something to really give you some base to put on. So our next layer is going to be shredded paper. We get this from newsletters and newspapers that get delivered to us that we don't really use. We get it from letters, you know, that junk mail that you get, and sometimes you just don't want your information out there because it gets in the garbage. Sometimes we had our garbage pail stolen a little while ago. That was upsetting. They took the whole thing. Anyway, my husband works with a lot of paper during the day, and so what he'll do, instead of letting it get into a landfill, brings it home, we shred it at the end of a week, and we end up with all this really good composting material because paper goes quick when it decomposes, and it's great for worms. Worms love it. So for this, we're going to dump it in. If you can, if you don't have a paper shredder, because we got ours from Walmart for like $15, we were able to do it. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. Just hand shred it, just into smaller chunks. That's all you need, because if you wet it down, it decomposes a lot quicker, so it's going to be fine. So we're going to dump all this in here, and you see how much of that space this composted paper really uses. Now we don't have cardboard. Okay, we don't have cardboard today. This is the only piece that was in there, so we're going to set that aside because we're really going to use this. But if you do have cardboard, what I want you to do is take it outside, throw it in your backyard, your front yard, let it sit, and I need you to water it down. It needs to be soaked to the bone. Let it sit for a good 30 minutes to an hour, because what this is going to do is going to allow it to decompose quicker and better for your plants. When it's not soaked down to the bone and easily tearable, it's so hard for it to break down underneath all your plants and everything because it's able to dry out when your plant dries out. So it's just better. Soak it, soak it, soak it, soak it. Leave it for about 30, 45 to an hour. Make sure you can shred it by hand. And you're just gonna stick it in all those little pockets with all the twigs so that it gets a good soaking. For this, we also like to soak our paper shredder. And that's again, so it'll just decompose a little bit faster for us. Today we have a little bit of worms to throw in there. And they can't eat through this when it's dry. So we gotta make sure that we give it a good soak. And when you soak it, you don't have to worry about it flying up. So it's gonna be a lot better for everything. Okay, now we've got all our paper in there and it's all soaked. Now, just a quick tip, whenever you guys do throw this in and you soak it, you're gonna wanna toss it because the top layer will get soaked, but the bottom layer will still be dry. So you're just gonna toss it, wet it down, toss it, wet it down, just kind of make sure everything's getting a good layer of wet. That's what we got here. It's all pretty stuck together, you see that? So like we mentioned, worms. Worms are really good for your stuff. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take just a little bit of these dry lids here just to lay my worms on, just so that they've got some place to land. So that they're not directly on the wet paper. We picked up a couple of worms from our garden. I know they're a little bit hard to see in there and all that dirt, but they really tried to hide for us. And so there we go. They're just gonna be sprinkled on in there, and I hope you can get a good look at them right here. Moving around, already looking for that paper, looking for coverage. They're gonna be able to get in there, repopulate, and really create us some nice worm castings throughout the soil. While they're in there, repopulate, it's gonna be better for everybody. So next up is gonna be our dried leaves. So I'm gonna throw all that in there, give you a good look, and then we'll move on to our grass, okay? But basically, it's gonna be a really gross salad. Okay guys, so we got all of our dried leaves in there. We gave it a good soak, and again, just like we did with the paper, give it a good toss so you can make sure you get all of it kind of soaked. So we went ahead and did that, filled that up, and our next step is actually going to be grass clippings. This is great. You cut your front yard, you get a double whammy. You get a nice clean front yard, and now you get grass clippings for your compost, your raised beds, and your pots. It's a great way to help fill out the volume and everything, save you some money. So we're going to go ahead and add all that in there. And just like we did before, we're gonna spread it out. We're basically making a gross dirt lasagna for our worms to go into, their worm salad, if you will. Any chunks that you find aren't supposed to be in there, you just pull them out right now. It's not a big deal. And we're gonna go ahead and give it another little soak as we go through, just so that you guys can see the movement. Soak it down real quick, nothing major. And again, you guys see how big this pot is? Can you imagine how much potting soil we would have had to use for this? But look how smart we are, okay? So we're gonna give it a nice turn again. Just give it a little bit of movement, nothing major, guys. Make sure you wear gloves because this doesn't feel good. Throw in some more dirt. Not dirt, I'm sorry, grass clippings. Lay it in there flat. And you see all of this has kind of already got its own brown color, and that's just from it sitting on top of itself. But that shows you how good it is at decomposing itself. Just keep going. Almost done, guys. Spread it out. And just like we did before, we're gonna do one more quick spray, and then we'll get to add my favorite part. Quick spray, quick spray. Nothing major. Flip it around a little bit. Spray it down. And there we go. That part's done. Next part of our gross lasagna, my favorite part, kitchen scraps. It doesn't smell good, but it's great for keeping everything out of the dump yards. Look, lemongrass we grew. I used it for tea. It was great. You get to spread all that around. If you have any tissue papers that are really thin that you use in the kitchen, as long as you didn't use it with cleaning supplies, if you used it just to wipe up like water, a little bit of soap, it's not going to hurt. But any harsh cleaning supplies, you don't want that in there. But that helps to save the environment too. You're going to throw everything in there make it a nice roast salad. The stuff that you're going to use in this is only vegetable and fruit. Please don't use anything with meat. No bones, no skin, no actual meat, because that's going to bring bacteria that we don't want. But we have banana peels in here. They're great for bringing your plants a lot of the nutrition that they need, potassium and all that. Plants love banana water. Banana peel water, they love it. Like some old squash and zucchini that we didn't get to. It's great to repurpose. Coffee grounds. Coffee grounds. Your neighbors, yours. You can even go to Starbucks and ask them. You can even go to Starbucks and ask them if you can have some of their coffee grounds. It's really great to throw in here. The plants love it. I'm just going to move all this around. I think I'm wearing gloves because it's gross. Tea bags can go in here. Okay, but look, just a little bit layer like that. Now, again, fruits and vegetables only. No meat, no bones, no skin of any kind from any animal. It's going to bring bacteria that you don't want. You don't want that in there, and it's going to kill your plants. So only fruits and vegetables. Now, pro tip for the fruits and vegetables. You don't want to maybe have to pick out any little scraggling seeds from other plants, like the bananas and all that. You see, we got melons. All of this, we're going to sprout our other things. So if it's got seeds in it that you just don't want to have to pick out later, just pull them out whenever you're doing your kitchen scraps, set them aside, throw them in a different compost bin that you use out in the yard. But for us, we don't worry about it because whenever we do our mixture of potting soil, manure, and all-purpose sand, honestly, if it doesn't get the sunlight, basically you really don't have to worry about it. So if you're too lazy to do it, it's all good. Just throw it all in there in a nice little layer, and there you go. That's a great base. So now we're going to get started on our mix for potting soil, manure, and sand. Now we've got our roast salad laying over here. We've already mixed everything as much as we could. We left our layer there. We're going to come over here to our dirt mixture. So this is going to be about 60% of your potting mix. Okay. You're wanting it to be a little bit moist, so when you go over to the stores and you pick it up, make sure it's a decently heavy bag. Make sure it's not all dried out for you. You're going to want it to be really good. And then we're going to do about 30% of our manure. That's going to help give our plants lots of nutrients. And again, not soaking wet, but something we like to use Black Cow. It's a really, really good brand. And then sand, you're going to use about 10% for your potting mix. And again, this is just coarse sand, but it just helps to give us a little bit of aeration so that the dirt isn't so tight for our worms to move through. Really great, some oxygen for our plant roots so it's not so dense, because sometimes perlite can be a little bit pricey for the small bags that they give you. Again, please look for your local vendors. We do have one that can sell us for a good sized bag for about $10, but it took us a minute to find them, and unfortunately they're closed on the weekends, so we didn't get the chance to get that. But sand, again, is a really great substitute because it does give you the aeration, doesn't make it as heavy, and allows for all the water movement through your pot, through your soil, and allows for the worms to really get in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a break for a second, get all this mixed up, throw it into our pot, and we'll come back to you. Okay guys, we got finished. We had to do 2 wheelbarrows full. So basically what it came out to be was 1 full bag of potting mix. This is the brand that we get from over at Lowe's. Costs about $12, but man, whew, it really saves you a pretty penny because it gives you quite a bit of potting soil. It is really good. Really, really good. You see it's 30.4 pounds. We had to do 2 whole things of this, but it really managed to fill out the rest of it, if you can see right there. And then, of course, our Black Cow manure. Again, our favorite manure to use. Hasn't failed us yet. Does really good on our crops. And then, for that perlite replacement, we use Quikrete all-purpose sand. It's great just to help aerate that sand. And if you can come and look right here, you're going to see how nice and fluffy all of that is. It really helps to aerate all of that so that we don't have to worry about it getting too compacted or anything, or having our roots suffocate or drown in anything, because it gives us so much aeration and room for all of those roots to grow. So I'm going to give this a soak. Remember, your portions are 60 for your potting soil, 30 for your black cow manure, 10% for your sand. And that helps to fill out any of your raised beds or your large pots like this. Remember to use all your resources so that you can try and save yourself a pretty penny. We're gonna soak this. I hope you guys have a great day and happy gardening.